nights when the moon's up high, there's a man with a talent, a spark in his eye. He's got a wicked creation that's one of a kind. With his 3D printer, he'll blow your mind. Frightful Forge, his name speaks for itself, printing monsters and ghouls straight out of hell. From skeletons to witches, his designs are supreme in the realm of horror. He reigns supreme. Frightful Forge, he's the master of fright. With his 3D prints, he'll keep you up all night. Spooky creatures crawling out of his machine. Frightful Forge, the Halloween scene's new king. TV's new king. Twitch.tv/Frightful Forge. In the darkest of nights when the moon's up high, there's a man with a talent, a spark in his eye. He's got a wicked creation that's one of a kind. With his 3D printer, he'll blow your mind. Frightful Forge, his name speaks for itself, printing monsters and ghouls straight out of hell. From skeletons to witches, his designs are supreme in the realm of horror. He reigns supreme. Frightful Forge, he's the master of fright. With his 3D prints, he'll keep you up all night. Spooky creatures crawling out of his machine. Frightful Forge, the Halloween scene's new king.
I think that's showing me that that's the end of the commercials. Yes, I think. Otherwise, we will be overlapping a little bit, and that's probably okay. I am Frightful Forge, GM Dan at Frightful Forge, a subsidiary part of the Gamersledge channel. We have folks monitoring chat over at Gamersledge if you want to drop in and chat. Mark is over there handling all of that because he's awesome. I believe he's also taking notes, so he's the multitasker king tonight. We have a handful of players here for you, and we'll be going through those in just a little bit. what you have found, where you have found yourself tonight, is we are nearly at the end of our background one-shots for Laughing Corpses, a D&D 5e live play podcast, where we are going to be delving into Journey Through the Radiant Citadel and eventually Spelljammer. This group is a varied menagerie of characters of very different eclectic backgrounds and species, and they can all be found on the Gamersledge YouTube if you want to go back and watch any of them, which I suggest you do because they're awesome, just like my players are. And speaking of my players, let's drop in. Hey guys, these are most of the players. We have a couple that are doing needed tasks and errands this evening. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start with some introductions if you want to say who you are and who you will be playing when the game fully starts. We will start with Andres and go around in a V, and then we'll end with Justin.
Right, yeah, my name is Andres, and I'm going to be playing Urandi, the Harrigan player.
My name is Megan, and I'm going to be playing Una, the Pixie Sorcerer.
I am the Crow Dad on Twitch, and I am playing Keck, the Thrycreen Fighter.
Go ahead, Mike.
I am Mark, and I am playing Nurit, a human chef.
And where are my notes?
Wait. You skipped Justin.
There you go. Pat was on his way
No,
back.
I was going to go to Tyler
Oh, okay.
and speak to who Tyler's playing. He got it. He ran.
It's your turn, Ty.
Sorry, had to go.
Sorry.
Lasagna. I am Tyler. I am going to play a bugbear monk named Karuk.
Okay. Go ahead, boss.
And then I'm Justin. I'm going to be playing Silas, a Warforged Ranger.
All right, and it is that Warforged Ranger that we're going to be delving into tonight. One of the interesting things that has come to D&D in the last little spell is a lot of IPs that previously have not been available in role-playing formats have started tagging themselves to the 5e series, whether it's D&D itself or a version of another setting put into the D&D framework, the 5e framework. 1 second. One of those worlds is Ravnica and Strixhaven, but they're worlds that people might recognize from Magic the Gathering. And there are pieces I have pulled into what we're running tonight from that. Love you! From that. So if it seems that there may be some things that seem similar or the like, it's because they're lifted from that. Okay, so without any further ado, sorry, I'm getting my notes out laid in front of me. SILA5 lays inert. There's a huge array of metallic, steampunk-like containers, pipes, hoses, red and blue sparking energies around the laboratory. mixed in and through small glass windows within all of this strange mad science, there's wisps of energy, mostly red, blues, blacks, but occasionally a stream of white energy, the energy of life, spinning through these magically etched tubes, running back and forth through the lab. Next to you, laying also inert on beds very similar to yours, are about 20 other humanoid robotic bodies. At this point, each of the bodies acts as a whole, as in they are all tied to the will of one person. He is a mage of some power and name throughout the lands. Lands plural because this person is a planeswalker. He's known for bringing battle and bringing artifacts, such as these bodies, to war. You are one in a countless number of summoned beings, artifact creatures, all empowered with the ability to arrive at a place. That it's not something that you consciously control. It's something that you're called to, which, because at the moment, you don't necessarily have any form of sentience, freedom, or even the knowledge of what those words would mean. You are essentially an appendage, a digit of a hand clenched in a fist, ready to strike. And it's almost like the body waits for the soul. You're an empty shell that, when given the orders, can move. And you're given that order, so you sit up, all of you in this fairly large laboratory sit up as one, and spin, dropping your heavy metal leather legs to the ground with a loud clank as all of your feet hit the metal and stone floor at once. Sorry. You stand as one and start moving forward towards these huge open bays, moving out into what would normally be sunlight, but here, under the watchful gaze of your master, one of the artificer brothers of war, you move out into the open. The clouds are broiling, though above the clouds, in the same place they have always been, are two pinpoints of light. They're shaped kind of like eyes, but eyes made of like a burning mist. They're colored red, but hang in the same position as if they were like stars that followed to the battlefield. Each of the ranks of soldiers that are nearly identical to yourself all disappear in a wisp of smoke and a clatter and strike of lightning, and you find yourselves encased. You, specifically, SILA5, you are encased in what could be loosely called a golem, where you are both the power source and the command center for a golem 50 feet high. Around the edges of your vision are arcane runes that are detailing back information. The mind that is pushing through your mind registers them as ranges, populace numbers, resource numbers, but none of that means anything to you at this point. And you begin to move forward. There are wisps on the ground, mostly wisps of white energy. Sometimes you'll get a spattering of red, sometimes a spattering of green, but it's mostly white. As you stomp your way forward, squelching out all of these individual wisps that are coming and amassing towards you. Your vision at this point lays out as a series of lines, a grid of ley lines that is just plagued with these wisps, and you move through them, harvesting the wisps into yourself. You're not sure how long you've done it, but after what feels like a long time, the golem's body has become drained. It's draining you as its power source. For a flicker of a second, just a nanosecond, which for you may seem like years, those wisps become bodies. Human bodies, creatures you've never seen before, charging at you, amassing at you, larger ones on horseback, several moving trees that you can see were those green wisps moving at you, throwing boulders. Very few of them had any effect, and countless numbers lay without those wisps in the long stretch behind you. And you realize you are a creature of war. You're a harvester of war. And you pulled all of that magic, that mana that lay around you, you pulled it as a nexus into yourself and fed it behind you, back to the planeswalker, and in some way, back to those eyes, those ever-glowing eyes up in the sky. You're shut off, like a light switch, just psh. The next time you wake up, you are standing, again, I need to move that, in a factory, and you now know something within you has changed. Some small bit has kept hold of that flash of knowledge, that 1 nanosecond of not honorable battle, not just rage and war. That rage was pushed through you as an instrument, and you were used to devastate countless countrysides in these huge battles between sides. You were summoned, you fought, and you were destroyed, exiled, back to the beginning, back to where you started. And you're again sitting with not as many of your brethren, but you're still sitting. And while you can't move, your mind has begun to grasp at this information. You focus on that information, knowing that rage, actually being able to feel that rage, which is strange for you as one of the only emotions that you're feeling right now. And you know it's not your own, but you can't help but feel it. As if being called forth by these beings pushed that through you, that purpose through you. This occurs over and over and over again. You, a being of all mana and no mana, are used as a tool to wreak havoc on the landscape countless times. Most of the times, they blend together in this lens of rage and frustration and power. None of it you could call your own, because when you return back to this place, back to this zone of relative peace, you're left without those pressures, without those emotions. But it happens over and over. Until one time it doesn't. You begin, as usual, standing up with even fewer of your compatriots now, under the red eyes that hang in the sky like celestial beings themselves. And you begin the fight again. This time not in a golem. This time you're equipped with a strange lance. You're put on the field and you rush into the field. Again, your vision blocked so that all you see are these wisps of white, green, red. And some part of you, deep in the back, knows they aren't wisps, but also knows there's nothing you can do about it. But keep that knowledge to yourself. You get out in the field, you're taking these wisps, funneling them through yourself, back to whoever it is that is pulling your strings, and then you're not. You're held fast. You can see a being in front of you, an older man. He's bald, has a white mustache and a small, sharp beard that comes down to a point in the middle of his chest. He's wearing mostly golds and blues. You see him at first as a wisp himself, but one of the strongest wisps you've seen, and you know he is like your master. He's not a creature to be controlled on this ever-changing battlefield. He must be a planeswalker. Something is familiar about him, but you don't know what. And he performs some kind of rite as you're held fast, and you can feel that nexus that was funneling back to your master shrink, so that it went from being, a huge pipe to a hose. And you can feel it redirecting as this new master takes control of you. And you can feel that power wane and that power shift and that rage, which you remember very well. What's up? Nice. You feel that power switch to this new master. But you don't feel the rage. You feel curiosity. You feel the thirst for power. That's there too, and very similar to your previous master. But you don't feel the rage. You don't feel the frustration. And the commands he gives don't feel like orders. You still have to do them, but they feel more like requests. And he pulls you back from the battlefield. And as you pass some kind of drawn arcane script on the ground, your whole body falls limp. And your vision, which had, again, these strange arcane runes around the edges, almost funneled like a binocular screen or binocular view, it shrinks to a pinpoint and you drop to the ground. The next happens in almost like waves, where your consciousness comes in and then departs, and comes in and then departs. You see this old man, and he's leaning over you. He's speaking to you, but not in a language that you know. It's guttural but soft, and when he sees you kind of shift and move a little bit, he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Please, I'm not ready yet. And he puts his hand on your head and pushes your head back down. And you know through that action that his name is Urza. And you go out once more. When you awaken again, you see that he is busy at work with a hammer and a very fine chisel. And he's working on your right knee and shin, and he's etching small designs, very intricate designs, into your leg. And he's humming to himself some kind of melodious tune that seems very exotic. But, I mean, you haven't heard much music, so it could just be that everything is exotic to you. And you go back to sleep. When you awake again, you're sitting in a chair. It's a small workshop, mostly wood, small devices sitting around half finished. You see pieces of different creatures, different artifact creatures hanging from the ceiling, half done. And he's standing in front of you, looking over you as if proud. He says, "Ah, yes, yes, here." And he is holding up what looks like a very shiny tool to see if you'll follow it. You now have a mote of sentience.
I will follow the shiny tool being waved in my face.
Ah, yes, yes, good, yes. What is your name?
I just stay silent and look at him. Name?
What? That brother. What were you called when someone spoke to you? What was your designation? You don't recall anyone speaking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This. Yeah. I'm struggling to form words as I just try to replicate what he said. Designation.
Yes. Let's come back to that. We'll come back to that. Can you move your arms?
I'll look down and move my arms. Do I notice anything different about my physical appearance now than I?
So, good question. Good freaking question. So, you had never had the agency to look at yourself before, but you knew what you looked like, right? Through the edges of your vision, when you put your arms out, you knew what you looked like, but it was never a conscious thought to actually look at yourself. You used to be a artifact creature of iron, so rough iron. So while you had been hammered into form, it was not beautiful work. You were a tool that was being used to do its job and then become parts for the next tool. The creature you saw before is not the creature you are now. It would be the difference of, I mean, this is a bad description, but it'd be the difference between a piece of coal and an uncut diamond. So you went from being a lump of clay, right, covered in iron patchwork to keep you strong, to being gold. Like, you can see the wood and leather that make your digits move. because the fine tracing of gold that is holding you together is, you can see it through the openings, through neat, etched, beautiful openings in your exoskeleton, as the best way to put it. You're covered in metal, but those iron plates have been replaced with filigree. They've been replaced with etching of arcane runes. They've been replaced with I mean, yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. So
Yeah.
when you're looking at your hands, they went from being mitts to being five-fingered, beautiful artwork. And not only that, but as you begin to move, you can see that you move a lot more freely. You were slower and clunkier, but you can tell that your body has been built more now to be agile, far more agile than you were before.
So I definitely feel lighter, but I'm not sure I can articulate
Ironically, you feel the same weight,
that. Oh, okay. I don't feel
as if you were just made more compact.
that. I'll just kind of marvel and like move around. I imagine, am I like still sitting up on like that bench kind of
Yeah,
thing?
it was like a dentist chair. You were like sitting up in like a dentist chair.
Um, I'll go to articulate my hands and like grab what's around me to sit up, but like awkwardly articulating the new parts to shift and just settle into.
Give
Right.
me a strength check.
Okay.
So that would be a d20 plus your strength modifier.
Okay. +1 is 12.
As you're pushing yourself up, you can hear and feel the chair creaking underneath you. Like your weight is substantial when you're pushing yourself up from this relatively small chair. No, slow. Be slow.
I'll get my feet underneath me and pause. I'll slowly try to stand up.
Give me a Constitution saving throw. So that's the second row next to your ability modifier.
Okay. Super small. There it is. Okay. So the d20 plus that?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no. 6.
You start to stand, and you can feel yourself starting to topple, and Ursa, the man in front of you, begins to move forward to catch you, and then it seems like he remembers something and quickly backs away as you fall into the floor, and you can see as you caught yourself, like you catch yourself on the floor, there are cracks now in the wood where you fell.
Ooh.
It's okay. Here, let me help you. And he gets a small hand and arm underneath your arm, and you can tell he's attempting to pull you up, but this older man is not going to be able to pull you up.
I will slowly try to get myself up carefully, being really careful not to hurt him.
Okay. You manage to get yourself up, and you manage to get yourself up and kind of steady yourself on a nearby workbench. And now that you're kind of standing and feeling how this body is moving, you have a lot more range of motion, but you can see it is going to take some getting used to. It isn't, you are definitely a different form. He says, I'm glad we were able to liberate you from that dastardly villain. But I am hoping that you will take to your new duties well, and honestly, you are built for it, so I do not see why you should have any problem with that. I think the one problem you might have is this is all going to be very new for you, and it may feel like a lot all at once, but know that when you are called with respect to what you are and how you can best choose to be in that situation. My hope is that with you, and some of the others that have been chosen, that you will make a fine party to do some special jobs.
Choose the others. Where is this? What happened to the others? Or rather, what is this objective?
Well,
Where is this?
I don't know how much you know of our world, but we are a world at war. Different heroes and villains, those who walk the plains, each with their own agenda, and all at the mercy of the eyes. Many battles are still yet to be fought, but my hope is not through overwhelming masses, but my hope is through clever play. We can be victorious, and you are part of that plan.
This is so new. I just kind of stumble at the concept of talking about myself. The connection's no longer there. What happened?
It is still there. Sadly, when I gained control of you, I could not remove the commands of your controller. My only hope is that these enchantments, and he indicates to some of the scrolling lines on your form, these enchantments will allow you to work for us until I can fully sever that tie. If you focus deep here, and he pokes you where your gut would be, but you obviously, it's not, because it's a robot. He says if you focus right here, you might be able to still feel it.
I'll attempt to focus in the way he's describing.
So the best way to describe it in my head would be that large hose of command that you had, correct? It was like tying you back, and that's where all of the energy would flow back. It shrunk when he took control of you, but it was still there. It was like a garden hose. And it almost feels like he's put some kind of fastener on that hose to staple it off. So it's still there, but it's been, like, squeezed tight.
And so there's currently there's no communication or signal coming in,
Nope.
though.
Yep.
Okay. So you're my new master.
Yes, but only in the most general of terms. I am putting it upon myself to make sure you're taken care of, to protect you where I can, and to try to give you what aids I can, what enchantments or spells I can use to help you. Prove my loyalty to you, as you will eventually prove your loyalty to me.
I ponder for a moment. What is to be done? There's no objective, and I kind of just hold in stasis. Like there's no objective. What is the objective?
Interesting. You are a tricky puzzle. He is looking around, trying to figure out how to put it, and he says, your objective will be to protect your friends. And as he says it, there is a depth to that phrase, like somebody rang a gong inside your soul. It's almost like it was written directly to your sentient mote. Protect your friends.
Understood. I nod, and I get the sense of resolve, even if I don't know how or who or how I'm going to approach or go about that yet. I have this determination or resolve, a feeling of purpose.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Kind
he
of
says, okay, follow me, follow me. And he seems to walk perfectly fine. But as he gets to the door, he grabs, it looks like a clockwork staff. As he grabs it, there are ticking sounds and small things that start moving on it, on its entire length. You're not sure what any of the clockwork does, but it all moves under his grip as if it were partially alive. 1 second.
Don't forget to untap all your artifacts at the beginning. Untap step for every turn.
And he steps out into the daylight. It is bright, and you can see him leaning heavier on his cane than he had in the workshop. There is a click, shh, shh, as he's shuffling his feet with each step, and I'm assuming you follow?
Yeah, I'll follow, and when I step outside, I'll look up, and do I see the red eyes?
So, hovering in space, a little ways off above some mountains to the east, you see a set of blue eyes that are very similar to the red eyes, the red/black eyes that you saw before. These are blue and shift to white and shift to black. Every little bit. It's almost like they're all three colors overlapping, and as you're walking, that color is shifting. But they're just hovering in space over the mountains to the east.
Okay. After seeing that, I'll continue to look around at my surroundings.
You are in a city, a small city, but a city made of sandstone, smooth sandstone and marble. It is. It looks like something that might be fashioned in the Middle East, in like one of their fantasy stories, right? And that's what the buildings look like. You see, as you walk, and you walk for about half a mile, you see 3 other humans, all of them younger in blue robes, all of them paying very deep deference to Urza, the man that you're following. And you see artifacts moving, clicking, walking, or sitting everywhere. There it is a city of mechanized beings. Overhead, you see things that fly like birds that are the size of a sheet of paper. You see even larger things that don't fit any description of any creature you've ever seen, perched on top of some of these huge towers. There is one tower near the back of the city, closer to where the mountain range swoops around. It's a large tower, and something deep within you says that must be Urza's tower. It may be programmed within you, but it's a knowledge that you have. And he's leading you off to the left. As you guys make your way through a couple small back alleys and down a set of stairs and down deeper towards what sounds like a dock. There's shouts and bird calls and a lot of mechanized sounds, but you don't make it that far. He stops you at a humble looking house made of the same kind of sandstone and marble as the others, but it's humble, it's small. It has a thatch roof, and as he opens the door and indicates for you to enter, you see that it's almost pitch black. There's a small bit of firelight coming from across the room, and as it's flickering, you can see that flickering reflect off of some of the other things in the room. You see 4, in the low light, you see 4 things. You see a thopter, which in this case looks like kind of like an oil lamp, but with numerous dragonfly wings flying off on its sides, fluttering. You see a strange creature of clockwork, about the size of a halfling, but it's very misshapen. One arm is much longer than the other, one eye is much bigger than the other, and it seems to skitter away from, like, quickly move away from the door as it's opened. You see a Cyclopean soldier, much the same size as you, but a lot more rough. You can see that there is some scroll work that has been done on him as well, but he's beefier than you, is what it comes down to. You're more agile and longer of limb. He's more stocky, but has one bright red eye in the center of his face. And you see a small ish. Actually, you see another artifact creature. Mark, what kind of artifact creature are you?
He is the equivalent of a gnome or maybe a goblin with wings on his back.
Okay. So we have 3 other positions. If people would like to play one of these other artifact creatures, Again, it was a Thopter, a Homunculus, and a Soldier. I know Megan just got up, but I don't know if she wanted to play one.
I can ask.
Part of me wants to play the Thopter.
I mean, I was like, the Thopter's pretty good. Who's gonna get Thopter?
The question is it a 0-1 Thopter or a 1-1 Thopter?
It's
Zero
gotta be
two.
0-2, yeah.
That is a critical question.
I'll be a 0-2.
Just a little guy with fine.
I'm hanging out. I'm free.
Okay. Of course not. That was my only pencil. Everything else is pins. Okay. Alright, I have Mark playing Gasp. He is the goblinoid gnome winged creature. I heard a couple people say Thopter.
So is Thopter, Homunculi, and what else?
And like a soldier, kind of like Silas, but beefier, and has a large red eye in the center of its face. Nobody has to play any of them.
I'm down to try something.
So I know you didn't hear the description before, but it's like an oil lamp Thopter with a whole bunch of dragonfly wings, a homunculus that's about the size of a halfling that has parts that are larger, like he was crafted from a couple different artifact creatures, and so he has so like his arm is much larger, his eye is much larger, he moves kind of skittering and quickly, and then Bright Eye is a soldier that is kind of larger and has a big red eye in the center of his face. And all of them are artifact creatures.
I should note that my wings are like fairy wings.
Okay.
And they
Can I
seem
be the Thopter?
Sure.
I'll be the Homunculi.
Okay. So we have Bright Eye, which is the large soldier that has the big red eye. Going once. Going twice. Alright, good. Okay. So you're kind of ushered into this room with these other artifact creatures, and for a second, the Thopter is sitting completely still, sitting on the table, so it looks just like an oil lamp, all things considered. The rest of the room is fairly simple. As you're ushered in, you kind of the very small amount of light, kind of your eyes adjust to it, and you can see that it's a fairly simple house. It doesn't have things you would normally need to have for a human dwelling. There isn't a bed. There is a table and a handful of chairs, and a fireplace. And you do see other things hanging out. Like you see some repair tools and an anvil and maybe something to smelt. And you see bottles of different types of oils. but other than that, it's a pretty small home, and you can see that um, the way that these other beings move, they've been here for a while. I would like to introduce you all to the most recent and last member of your squad. Um, this is Silas. It was written on his back right here, and he taps a small plate in the middle of your back that you can't see, but you can feel it as different, as if it may be one of the only things that was replaced from your other body.
You mean brought over from your other body?
Brought over from your other body, yeah. And he says, "I will leave you to it. You have a little bit of time. I am working on the plans to get your group where they need to be, but I trust that you will bring Silas here up to speed." And he taps his cane on the ground, and the fire burns a little bit brighter, and he turns and closes the door and leaves.
The goblin-ish looking artifact creature walks right up to you and says,
You must be the new guy. Welcome. I'm Gasp.
So the I'm gonna post it here as well. I posted it in both chats now. The names of the different characters, and
Master's first creations. If you need something, I'm the guy to see. I know how to get things.
What is this place? Where are we?
This is the workshop. It's where we live now. But not for long.
Not with our new friend. Hello, my name is E.
Hello. Teague.
the
Each.
he
What is your name again?
My designation seems to be Silas. I'm sorry, all of this is quite new.
it was new for all of us once, so that's understandable.
How long have you all been here? Sorry, that you cut out there.
9,472 parsecs.
Oh.
Are we turned off often? Damn.
So ever since waking up here, you have not been turned off. You all have been here for a variable amount of time, but less than a year. And at night, you kind of go into an inactive state, but you don't even turn off to sleep. You essentially just sit still in an inactive state for like 6 hours, and that counts as your sleep. But you're still fully conscious.
and
Right, but we're
traps.
just not-
What was that?
Oh, I'll just clarify. He answers. I've been here for 72 days.
6 months, says Bright Eye.
I'll be like, hi, I am Phoebe, and I've been here for 42 days.
What is our objective?
Well,
Who are we protecting?
so we haven't been given much information, but we are allowed to explore the city. Their time is our own until we're called upon. There have been whispers that the goblin tribes up in the mountains are preparing for an assault, and it could be that that will be soon.
Our time is our own. I just think
It means no one orders you around.
this is not something I've experienced. I'd like to see more. And must we stay? Can we step out?
Can we step out of the laboratory? I'd like to lead them on a tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you ask to leave, he will put a small arm around you and start leading you out the door. Like, of course, we should show you around. And like starts just pushing you along to kind of start showing you the rest of the place.
Okay. Is that just the rest of the place, like inside the shop or outside?
So
Where do we go, Dan?
So,
What
you
can we access?
you start by walking down. I mean, like I said, you guys are kind of in the section that could be called the docks, right? About 4 blocks downhill, you get to these large steamboats. They have these huge paddles, and they're kitted out to carry small forces across the bay. You see that the large lake, and it is a huge lake, is kind of swampy on this end. It's deep in parts, but those parts have been dug out. And you can tell because there's so many other parts that have not been dug out. So these huge boats are sitting in areas of the swamp that have been excavated so that the water is enough to move out on. Out past these swampy areas, you can see the water turns like a darkish greenish brown, green, and then further out gets to be the turquoise of what water should be. Across the very large lake, very far in the distance, you see where the mountains come down to meet it. And as you're watching, you can see areas where smoke has started to go up in these small dots, as if something's massing way out there. These huge boats have a lot of workers that are shaped like humanoids or centaurs or even smaller creatures like your friends here. Move about carrying equipment or getting things packed up. There are a few humans, and those humans seem to be offering advice but not getting in the way. And one or two large, like your size medium, even Bright Eyes, who's bigger than you, is also size medium. There's size large constructs that are moving larger crates and larger equipment on and off these boats. While you don't have a nose, you do pick up what would be considered scents of oil, metal, the vapors coming from these swampy areas, and the very little bit of what you might say is food that is feeding some of these beings. of the friends with you, only you and he have mouths, but it hadn't even crossed your mind that feeding yourself would be a thing as you watch these humans scooping some kind of thick brown substance into their face holes. Moving past the docks, as you wrap around, you get into an area that is strange, as if the rest of this wasn't strange. It is an amphitheater, and there are a lot of beings, a mixed eclectic group like the four of you, but they're sitting in seating, listening to a play that is being put on by several other artifact creatures. Hey, Mark,
Yeah,
what is this play called?
the reparation of Mishra.
And it's a deep and foreboding tale, and you can see that the creatures, the artifacts that are sitting, listening with full attention, are leaning forward in their seats, hanging off of every last word. Um, just sitting for a little bit, listening and taking it in, you get kind of the gist of what this part of the play is about, and it almost hits a little bit too close to home for you, Silas, because some of what it's describing is stuff you were forced to do that you have specific memories of.
As hearing the play kind of recollects that, I'll kind of step away and step aside and just Mishra. What do you all know of Mishra? Who are they?
His master's brother.
It kind of clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Urza's brother? I'll look up at like the blue eyes. And then I'll kind of look down at the etched enchantments on me, which I think you said are also blue. Is that right?
So they're kind of like you know how on metal you can etch out. It's just etched
Okay.
into it, yeah.
Okay. Um, just kind of contemplating the connection there and feeling the stopped the stopped hose of that trickle
Mm-hmm.
in me just kind of burn a little. Can we see more? I need to go elsewhere. I don't know how much of this I can witness.
Okay, the second act kind of slumps anyway, and so we'll get up and I guess continue on into the city.
Okay. You get to a large section of the city, and as you guys are even getting close, you feel more energized. You feel almost if you had hair, it would be standing up, right? As you're getting closer to effectively power lines. It's a huge domed structure that has a lot of creatures roaming over its surface and doing construction and repair and maintenance. And Bright Eyes says it is his power plant.
Get a charge. I'm coming here.
That is funny. It is free, no charge.
Sorry, I'm waiting for that one player to tell us we have to pay a tax or something.
I fly over. Do you pay the one?
No.
I fly off.
this way. And he walks you away from the power plant. It was almost like Bright Eye was on edge, standing that close to it. But as he moves away and you guys kind of go down a different street, he stops.
I want to ask.
Yeah.
I want to ask him as well. What was that for? What does that power?
Everything. All of us. Every once in a while, when he goes about his great works, there will be a pulse that goes through this area, and depending on the enchantment he casts or what he's doing, it might lend some of its power to some of his creations. But for a small part, he uses it to build. He uses it to fuel his abilities and his spells.
It certainly is overwhelming.
It can be. It can be. And he walks you down to an area of the city that is different loud. It, instead of being the sound of machines moving, clicking, the sound of metal on metal, you hear laughter and singing. You hear the sounds of human habitation, the smells of human habitation, and you go down to an area that is described as Old Town. The buildings here are not made of marble and sandstone. The buildings here are mostly made of wood, though many of them are covered in layers of paint. There's a lot more wood smoke here. The smoke in the rest of the city is oil smoke or smoke from the gases that are dug up from deep beneath the city, or from the deep fire pits down below. The smells here of cooking foods, of just human life, are also a little overwhelming because you haven't been around them. But that difference is very enticing to you, intriguing to you. You've only really known 2 humans at this point. And the first one, I would argue you didn't know, because you've seen him and you were in the same place as him, but you never shared anything as much as you're sharing this time now, and the time you shared in your recreation.
Does Silas have a mouth?
Does Silas have a mouth?
Yeah, I imagined that I have a mouth. So
Then Gasp will go up to one of the street vendors and pay for rat on a stick.
Okay.
And then he will bring it back to Silas and say,
Here, eat one of these.
eat. And I just look
Put
at
it
the
in your
puzzle.
mouth hole.
and he points to he doesn't have one, but he points to the area on you where you have it.
He just like standing behind, like
It's overwhelming. Like the smell that I'm sensing. I attempt to like open my mouth and work at how I'm supposed to do this and try it and
So
try to
as you
try to
as you push this mystery meat at your face hole,
Oh.
you're getting it everywhere. You had not anticipated everything that comes with mashing meat with your bits.
hmm
I hold my stick up
Wait.
for somebody with a mouth to show him what to do.
I'm just kind
Do
of
you want me to
holding
just
mine
chew it up for you
overwhelmed.
first?
I'm just like overwhelmed and a mess and not sure what to do.
Maybe
I'm
it's
gonna go get
hot.
another one so
Okay.
I can chew it for you first.
The human that hands it to you he hands it to you. He doesn't even take payment because he's in such shock about what is happening right outside of his booth. He's not even he's staring at like what is happening. Nobody's gonna believe
I'm-
this story.
I'm so sorry. He's only like 4 hours old here, and we just sat through Mishra at the theater. So, I'm just thank you. And I like go to. I start first. I show you how to chew it. Like I take a bite and I show you how to chew, and then I'm gonna like move,
And
put it
what
in
does
your
that
mouth.
look like? Perfect.
And then
Thank you.
yeah, I'm gonna dump that in your mouth if you let me.
I'm not sure what to trust, and I still feel overwhelmed. And I'm like, I'm not. I don't. I try. I'm not sure about this. And
Well, I just
try to
want you
take
to
what you're
know the
offering.
consistency of how much you have to chew.
Is this how it's supposed to happen?
The bot needs air, and then I start flapping at him with my wings.
I'm just messy and confused. I'm like looking at all my friends.
You managed to get a little bit of the food morsels. Understanding now the process and watching all of this happening around you, you're able to get some of it down into your internal parts. And while not necessarily necessary, they do work the way they're supposed to work and turn these bits into fuel. You can feel it happening within you. There's like a warmth that you hadn't felt before moving through you. I can't hear you.
Who?
Naomi.
I was just saying it was gas.
Oh, it's just yes.
I belch loudly. No.
Yeah. So you are
Speaking.
kind of sitting confused for a little bit, and the person that's cooking these skewers walks over and pulls out a small, mostly filthy blue rag and hands it to you, and says, I, I don't even know." And he walks back to his and he starts turning the meat.
Gas will take the rag and start to clean Silas up.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm just getting the meat juices off your face.
I'm just kind of still taken aback at the mess. That
Just feed you meat like that. The humans call it baby burden. I don't know.
I still
why.
have it ready to go if you want it.
Humans are strange, it seems. Why do they do that?
You hear from a little bit away. Yeah, humans are strange. Uh-huh.
Why would they want to do this?
Bright Eye turns to you and says, "There's a lot of very strange things humans do to live and create more humans. I've watched a lot of it. I don't understand any of it. And he doesn't have a mouth either, so he's never tried eating."
I'm not sure what to take from that. I don't know if you're missing much.
I think they use it as a battery source, a power source. They have to consume it.
That would make sense. Once they are very vigorous with other activities, many of them are hungry. That makes sense. Like
While
when
I'm
they,
confused by this, I'm grateful.
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, go ahead.
He just
Go
said
ahead.
he said he was very grateful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, while I'm confused, I'm quite grateful. Thank you, Thank you, Gasp.
Of course, if you want more, let me know. I'm the guy that knows how to get stuff.
I'll just store this in case you want it later.
Thank you. I think I've had enough for now. I'll just kind of keep observing the humans as well as I'm like confused.
Yeah. You start moving through this area. There's an outdoor tavern that has a musical accompaniment this evening. A couple of people playing instruments that are very organic instruments. The music they play is beautiful, but not as pure as some of the music you heard walking down here, done by machines. There is no logical rhythm to some of this music done by the humans, and it is unique, but yeah, it's not the same. And you push past. You make your way through Old Town, coming back around on a long road. You get to a very, very large building. It's not built like the others. This is more squared off. A lot of the buildings up in the main town are rounded, so that they appear more like the round towers and round buildings. This one is almost as if it was made like in, Eastern Europe as a castle. It's made of the same kind of sandstone and marble, but it's not smooth like those. This is made of sandstone bricks. Um, and it is a large building, almost a keep itself. And there's no one going to or from this building. The rest of you know this to be the library.
This,
You dropped off, Mark.
this is the library.
the is the library. That's where the knowledge is kept, correct?
Yes, they keep it in paper form. You can use your eyes to read it.
Optical information. Interesting.
Some. They also have these strange scroll cores that they use for some of the artifacts. It kind of looks like that, and he taps the glowing circle in your chest. He says it kind of looks like that, that they use to load information. Because there are some of us that can't, or can't read, or don't have the eyes to read. But yes, it is a place where you can find a lot of answers. It's also where, I guess, he keeps his spells.
This is Urza's. Is all of is all of this place headed by Urza himself?
Yes. There are a couple others that he has in good confidence that come and go, friends of his, but for the most part, he is the controller and planeswalker of this territory, this area.
And this information is freely available to anyone? Are we allowed to attain it?
I fly over. Sometimes you have to pay 1. Other times you have to pay 2.
Sometimes, yes, though I wouldn't understand why anybody would want to spend time there.
You want to go in?
It seems that no one else is accessing it. Maybe we can come back to it later, or let's. You mentioned. I'm curious about the scrolls you mentioned. Because you pointed down at my chest and said like it would fit some of the info there. Does it look like I have any knowledge of like what that is on my chest?
So, you've had that from your first construction,
Okay.
and you hadn't really put much thought into the fact that you have that space, but it doesn't look like any of your friends here also have that space. You hadn't really thought about it until right now.
To go in, we can go in.
I'd like to see if there's. You guys are giving me so much already, teaching me so much. I simply wish to gather as much information as I can. If there's more information to be had here, I'd like to see it.
I'll attempt to push the door open.
It swings open freely. You didn't see anybody moving in or out, but you see there are people in here. There's a couple ancient-looking constructs that are actually wearing some semblance of robes in here, though the style is not matching of what you see around in town. You see a couple of humans. Actually, you see a number of humans. Many of them deep at work studying the scripted pages. You see shelves lining almost every vertical surface, as well as areas where, sure enough, these scroll scroll cases that are faintly glowing are shoved into a whole bunch of different areas. As the four of us, the 4 of you, 5 of you, 5 of you, move into the library, you can also see that at a back corner, back table, there is a candle about the size of a water bottle that is black and the flame is lit and flickering. And there's somebody sitting near it, but they're in shadow, so you can't really make out if it's a human or a construct or what. As you enter, there's a middle-aged human woman with dark skin, hair pulled back in a tight braid that says, "Oh, no, 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 gasp. No, no, no. You know what you did last time you were in here. No, no, no."
Show friend around. I promise I will be good.
If you take a bite out of one book, you will be exiled forever.
It's not my fault. The creatures in the book sounded delicious. I thought I could absorb them that way.
She sighs deeply and with a threatening look over her shoulder turns around and goes back to what she was reading at the front desk. And you see that other than a couple of people turning to look at you, you're pretty much left in peace.
I will actually try and get her attention again.
Yep.
This is Silas. He would like to know about scroll cores.
Oh, you're here with actual questions. Yes, of course. Silas. And she looks to you and Bright Eye as if Bright Eye has never been in here before, and figures that you must be Silas, and turns her attention to you and says, "What would you like to know?"
I apologize. I don't know yet the knowledge that I lack or am seeking. Everything is pretty new, but I was told that some of the information you have here might interface with this, and I gesture down to my chest.
Oh, and she picks up her glasses and puts her glasses on and takes a look and says, "Oh, yes, it seems that you were outfitted with a core reader. Sure enough. We have a handful of those. Most of them collected from, um, well, clever minds. But I can show you how they work if you would like." And she
Yes, please.
moves out behind the desk and thinks about it a second and says, "Well, I'm not sure what your end purpose might be, but I do know what he's been working on." And you can see her thinking about it for a second, and then she moves quickly to one of the stacks and starts pulling out scroll cores, looking at them, putting it back, grabbing the next one, looking at it, putting it back. Then she goes all the way down the line, and she finds one that she's looking for, pulls it out, and goes, "Ah, yes. Yes, this should do nicely." And she walks over and says, if you don't mind," and she does something with your chest, with your chest piece, and it unscrews and opens, and for a matter of seconds, you feel hollow, as if you're not sure what you are, who you are, why you are, and she takes a glowing rod about 3 inches long out of that space, and for a second you're afraid you're going to go inactive. Like you actually fear that your soul is becoming cold. And she places the scroll core in and slides it shut and does something with the front that locks it in place. And that feeling is gone, and you're hit with memories. You are a small goblin child running in a large group, a tribe of nomadic goblins. that is coming down a mountain pass. You can see at the front of this train, this large army, is a goblin that you don't know the name of, but you know that he has a fiery disposition and loves throwing rocks. And you are following him into battle as a small goblin child. You are familiar with the goblins around you, their names, how many are in a family unit, and then you shift positions to a goblin shaman who is pulling magic out of the mountains around them to fuel their spell, and they push it out in front of them, making the goblins around her faster, making their feet move a little bit more sure of themselves. She then takes that same energy from the mountains and pushes it up through one of these large goblinoid beasts that's rushing to the front. It's a troll, and it's rushing to the front of the battle lines. Then you get memories of a human on horseback as he's riding towards these huge goblin armies in a different time, in a different era. And you can feel this knowledge seeping in. It's kind of like when you watch a good TV show or movie, or when you read a good book, and you can feel yourself kind of merging with the story in that moment, where you kind of forget the life around you and you're just kind of poured into that lore, into that story. That's how this feels as you're kind of merging together the two halves. And you're there in that moment, knowing about goblins, knowing about the different goblin species that make up goblinoids as a whole, and feeling not hate, not aggression. You're just kind of absorbing that knowledge, and it's there, and then after a moment, it gets pulled and sucked out of you. So you still have kind of the memories of what occurred, but you don't have the same feelings as you were present in those memories. And there's that empty feeling again, where your vision is starting to close down, and she puts the energy rod back and does something with the front of your chest that you can't quite figure out, and closes it. And she says, do you understand?
I'm just going to throw this out. Your only correct answer is I know Kung Fu. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Oh
Please
my god,
proceed.
that's great. That was great. Oh. Those experiences are contained in this, and are all of these capsules like this, did they all contain experiences and lives such as this?
Not all, but many. And the technology that made them has sadly been lost to time. So, these that you see here are the only ones that exist for the moment. And really, the other part of that is when they're removed, you lose that closeness with the memories. While you had that in, I'm sure you felt like you could be amongst the goblins, right? That you could move with them, know how they move, know how they operate, know how they talk or act. But when it's removed, all you're left with are surface. You know what that scroll had, you remember it, but it's not really usable.
I see. What I have kept I have gained. Thank you for sharing that knowledge with me.
Of course.
These, and I know it's out of character. You said that like I didn't feel any type of like contempt or hate, but from this, did I learn anything about any kind of, I guess what I should say is like, I know that what goblins typically tend to do and how they'll operate. So, are they? I guess I'll just ask like back in character. Are there goblins here? I haven't seen any. Are there goblins near?
We don't have any in the city, other than some that may look like them. And she looks over at Gasp. We are sadly at odds with them. We're not sure why, but it could be the closeness of our territory to the kingdoms of Jald. And we can see them amassing for a great for a great war, for a great battle.
Saying to try to understand them.
We have tried, and we have sent envoys. They're sent back in pieces. Whether human or artifact, they're sent back in pieces.
They don't seem to seek understanding in return. Then.
No.
I see. Curious. As long as we are safe, as long as we may be safe, I wish we could seek understanding, but I think I've seen why that may not be possible. Is there... My objective was to protect. Is there anything else here that can help me protect my friends? Any other cores or anything that I might need to take from here to further my objective?
Without knowing kind of what you're supposed to be doing, it would be hard to give you a list of what might help you. I think that I would hope that knowledge will benefit you more than telling you where the weak spot is. That is a lot of what some here are looking for. Some that come here are looking for an advantage, a way to continue this battle, to push this battle further. But my hope is that you will be able to find a way to get past that. Not you, but us.
I see further wealth and understanding than simply martial gain, though I suppose I understand the context where martial gain is the only gains to be had. It seems things are very different here, and I thank you for harboring and sharing the knowledge you have. I certainly wish to return here and seek knowledge further in the future.
Mm-hmm. Well, you are welcome to come back at any time. We do not close, so whenever you feel the need.
I'll turn over to Gasp and I'll say, you kind of look like them, you know?
Master said I was his first attempt at trying to understand the goblins.
Do goblins normally have wings?
For these, I like them. Unfortunately, I cannot fly.
I see. Well, I like them just the same.
Thank you. What else would you like to see in the city?
Real quick. So while all that was going on, he snuck off to bite a book to Frey and gasp.
Okay, roll me a d20 and add 2.
11.
Okay. As you guys were hanging out, listening, experiencing, and talking to her, um, you take a fairly big bite out of a book and sneak up and slide it back behind some of the engrossed group, and make it back to your spot. And as you are kind of talking about where you want to go next and turning to leave, she goes to put the book away that's sitting on the table, and says, "No, no, you didn't." Gasp! As you guys are stepping right through the doorway, leaving.
I turn and look back and say,
Yes. How can I help you?
She's waving the book at you, and you can see her fingertips are starting to spark.
What is that?
You make your way back into the street, and you can see that night has nearly fallen, but it's lit. The streets are really well lit. Um, and it must be part of the power station, part of the power plant, because they put off the same kind of feeling that you got, although in a much smaller scale when walking by the power plant. And you start making your way back around the long way, back to the small place you guys are calling home for the moment. In flashes, all of you are exploring the city. You're getting closer as a unit. You're understanding what your limitations are. You stop at the library, Silas, a couple more times and try a couple different cores. They don't give you the same kind of feelings that you felt when you had the Goblin core. Most of the ones you're getting were done by sages, memories from these older humans that were essentially just putting words on paper, but in a memory. And so they're interesting, but they're nowhere near as visceral as that experience was. You get training with swords and with a bow, and Bright Eye is taking the time to make sure you learn kind of how to stay more stealthy, how to dodge and move out of the way, which parts are important on your frame, and which parts are okay to take a little bit of damage, so that you can kind of get out of the way and punch where it hurts. And it's about 3 weeks in when you guys come home from one of your outings around town, and Urza is sitting in one of the chairs. You're near the fireplace in your guys' small home. He says, I have been waiting for you because I have what you can do, your objective. You can help me by trying to find out which direction the goblins are going to come from. They are amassing a large force, and I'm going to try my best to put up a wall to block their efforts. But if I don't know which avenue they're taking, I can't do what I need to.
Do you have a map of the surrounding area? What is...
He rifles through his pockets and rolls out a map case about 2 feet long that doesn't look like it should have fit on his person, and rolls it out. And as you lay it out in front of you, you can see that it's marked out in a grid, and there are check marks and X's on different parts of this grid where battles have taken place. And he has the mountains that are where the goblins are amassing marked, and the river marked, the lake marked, and then the small area around the lake where his force, where you guys are in this city. Also, around this city are 3 small circles. One that has a sun over some plains, one that has a
Are you
skull.
getting hungry at all?
No, I ate. Thank you. A skull over where the swamp is, down by the waterfront, and then a blue that's over the river that runs back behind the city, Urza's main city. Whereas the mountains, there's a symbol for the mountain, which is red. It's a fireball, and a green symbol that is a tree, also right next to it, up in the where the forest is on the other side of the mountains.
Okay, so he already has marked off and knows that the goblins amassed in the mountains then.
Yeah.
And the concern is their approach.
Their approach, yeah, where the goblins will be showing up.
I have access to core at the library that gave me some knowledge of the goblins. It seems they're amassing at the mountains. Are they mounting an attack soon? How imminent is this?
We're not sure.
Do we have any visual of their encampment from the top of the tower?
So you can see the small smokestacks, but he can't make out any details. It's like there's a veil preventing him from seeing it from here.
What if we scout it out? What if we go and try to determine or figure where they may be attacking from? We can get you the information to prepare before their assault.
That's the idea. The problem is, with the preparations we have in place, I need more. more. And he looks off into the distance. I mean, there are no windows on this small house. He's kind of just that 10,000 yard stare as he's seemingly confused, but also just tired. Yes. Sorry, my time is divided. I will lend you what help I can. Please send your requirements, what you need, through your flying friend here, and I will make sure you have the resources you need.
Understood. We can prepare and be ready as soon as possible. Have any of the rest of them encountered goblins or goblinoids at all before? Have any of you seen goblins before? I imagine Urza has, but
I don't think so. Most of the fighting, I mean, they were only here. Friyay said he was here for 6 months before you. The others were 70 days and 40 days. I don't think any of them have actually seen goblins before.
okay. When we were at the library, one of the cores had me seeing through the eyes of a goblin. They look a lot like you, Gasp. I would say some smaller, some larger, but no wings that I saw. I hope they don't have wings. I saw them seem to pull energy from the mountains themselves. I feel that while they are there, they may be planning something with that. I need more information on what they're doing, but I feel like the energy from the earth, they might be preparing enough power to mount an assault. Maybe there's something we can do to see what they're planning or disrupt them.
How would you disrupt them, Friyay?
I'm not even sure exactly what it is they're doing, other than gaining strength. It seems gaining power in some way. I suppose we should learn more, try to understand more of what that is. I can't seem to. I can recall it, but I can't figure what it means. I don't want to go in blind. I wish we could better understand this. I'm not sure what it is they're harnessing.
Well, you said that scroll had memories of the goblins. I'm sure it's not things from this battle, but would it help you if we check if you, instead of leaving that at the library, we took it?
Maybe we should collect that. Yeah, that might help us to garner more from it, or to utilize it in another context. I don't know. That it seems that's all I'd have. That's all I know of this goblin threat. I think that would be a good place to start.
Well, that sounds like it's a good place for you to start then. I'm going to work on getting you guys getting some transportation to take you where you need to be.
Master,
Yes.
it sounds from what Silas is describing that perhaps they have spellcasters as well. Do we have defenses for that?
Well, I will look through my library and see if I can't find some kind of counter to their magic. And he nods and says, I would say begin with the planning. And he leaves and closes the door softly behind him.
It sounds like I should go try to retrieve the memory core from the library. Gasp, I know you're not allowed in there anymore. Is there anything else you need me to grab when I'm down there?
It's not my fault. I didn't do anything.
Okay, Gasp. I'll get whatever you need. I'll bring it back.
Okay.
So leaving you guys to the plan and to building up what you need to be able to do this investigation, I am going to say let's go ahead and take our break.
Okay.
So I think I still have it set, Mark. I believe, so that you can hit the button and do.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I'm going to deafen on mine. And then, do you guys want, let's go 10 minutes, back at 8:45?
Okay.
Sure.
We'll do it.
Sweet.
I know, I live life, I die on my own. I don't want to die on my own. I just want to vibe in my room, I know. 2 pints and a packet of crisps. I tell her wait right there, I'll be back in a bit. She got these pretty brown eyes and she's licking her lips. The way she look into my eyes when I'm feeling a split, I can't take. Oh my grandma's coming, dragging a fireplace, conspire. What all of the followers require. Supply it to my buyers, I'ma hit the no higher. Whistle tone like Ariana, shine it till I retire. Ooh, I like this one.
Sitting on a log in the bog in the fog, not a dog with a blow or a hog on a jog, you know. I'm a frog. 21, we're rapping over frogs apparently. Oh my, you must be kidding me, getting rid of me, cutting loose ends. But who you gonna call at 2 a.m.? Don't need a best friend, don't need a low-key girl to just mess with. Don't wanna act like a preacher to your confessions. So just just leave me alone and escape from my life like El Chapo and oh my.
I am gonna go food and snack shopping tomorrow. Because I'm hey. Hey. Hello? Is Kale out? Yeah. Oh, when you said no, so no salsa. Huh? Yeah. I also can get it from the commissary, but I usually get it from either the produce section or that thing right up front that has guac and salsa and chips. You're fine. We need these trash bags taken out tomorrow. Because they have food in them. Hey Mel? Oh, yeah? Why don't you get some more of this bread when you have a chance, bud? Eat more of the bread? Yeah. The sour bread? No, that bread? The French bread. Yay! Marcy back.
In the dark.
Did you get my messages, Dan?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was. I was deafened on Discord.
Oh, it seemed like there were 2 instances of it, maybe in your stack.
Nope.
Let me try a really short one.
All right, I'm back. Sorry.
You're good. We're doing some.
Had to rotate the batteries.
I actually can't tell. I think it's okay. I don't know.
No, it's playing behind your picture on yours too.
No, that it's all the way up and down the screen. Oh. Yeah, never mind. The stream only hears it once. I hear it twice.
Okay.
Because it is playing locally on my computer as well.
Okay. Sweet. Sweet. Okay. A couple days pass. Oh, welcome back. A couple days pass, and your team is given a more detailed map, and you're able to check out that scroll case from the library with little to no fuss, with the understanding that it comes back with no teeth marks. And she helps you understand how to install it. It takes it's almost like a combination lock to open up your chest piece to insert this scroll tube. And you're not sure what would happen if left within it, because every time you transfer between, it feels like what you imagine death would be. Moving between that small glowing rod and these scroll cases. And you make a plan. So having it reinstalled, having these emotions rushing through you, this knowledge rushing through you, what do you think you would like to do?
So when I'm in this experience, I'm like seeing things from the eyes of another goblin. Like, is it an actual like vicarious experience?
Yeah, it's a handful of goblins that you are. It's almost like these are memories that were pulled from certain specific goblins. And they were pulled from those goblins and recorded onto this scroll insert.
Okay.
And you're
With
living through
this,
them. Yeah.
with this, if there's a way to navigate through the information in this scroll to find something that would be pertinent to battle, preferably something if they were launching an attack or an assault like we're thinking they're doing now. I want to see if there's any type of battle plans or prep or strategy or cultural significance that they experience that might affect their decision making. Is there
So
anything of note?
it looks like the battles that you're seeing, while not versus Ursa's forces, they all seem to have similar tactics, and that's rushing in numbers across flatlands. So either attacking from the mountains if the battle is taking place in the mountains, or arriving en masse, like as just a huge amount, a swarm of goblins. That is what it looks like this group does. And so you would anticipate that they would probably try to run along the coast in a large group to the area of the plains between the mountains and where Urza's town is sitting. It's a small strip of land, choke point, that they'd have to run across, but it's still there.
Okay. That's most likely. I'm just writing that down. So, do a lot of them seem to utilize magic or pull energy like I saw that first time, or does it seem only a few do that?
It seems like only a few do that, yeah.
Okay. What are they typically equipped with? What are they looking to like front their assault with?
It depends on the goblin. Many of them carry melee weapons. There are handfuls that have slings. You actually saw a goblin catapult in one of the memories, but you're not sure if it throws goblins or large stones.
Both.
Probably both. Yeah.
Step 1, find your cousin. Step 2, put him in the cannon. Step 3, get another cousin.
And I'm just asking for my own curiosity's sake. There are not any goblin mob bosses in the city, correct?
No.
Okay, great.
I'm looking for Krenko.
Yes. Let's take that piece off the table before we start.
Okay, so definitely like armed rudimentary weapons, but like organized enough to like plan an assault, but seems like they like swarming in numbers. Have I observed any at all? Is there any subterfuge splitting off and, you know, them sending forces from a different direction, or does it tend to be that they just kind of do their thing?
In the memories that you have, you don't see any big subterfuge other than normal subterfuge you'd find in most battles.
For sure. Okay.
There are certain maneuvers like the pincer maneuver and stuff that you see in a lot of mounted combat, and there are some mounted goblins, but they are pretty rare. They're more like goblin outriders that are just faster. They do the same as everyone else. They're just faster. Occasionally, and you know from these memories you're pulling from, you might have goblins that, with a spell, can make their way across the water.
Okay.
Some form of water or island walk, or swamp walk. But other than those rare occurrences, it's mostly, it says what is on the tin. They're gonna gobble it up and write you down.
Okay. Cool. So, That gives me plenty of tactics and stuff there too. Is there anything I can otherwise garner from these memories that would let me know within like goblin culture their hierarchy, or if they follow any type of like beliefs or have superstitions or something like that?
So many of them have, many of these goblins have beliefs. They follow a specific god. In this case, the floating eyes above them that are red and black shifting,
Okay.
they are worshipping whoever, whatever those eyes are. But also they follow a commander. And it depends which commander they're following. You saw several that in your memories that could be leading this band, but you won't know for sure.
Okay. That's probably all the info I can think to try to garner from the capsule right now. So in that, I would probably just want to take that information and maybe I'll take the scroll out and like keep it, take it with, but kind of just get this information noted so that I can convey it with everyone with Urza when we're ready to plan. But that's probably all I'll take from it for now, I think.
Okay. As you're getting ready and you're making plans, you can see that Urza's also getting ready making plans. He has these giant constructs that move on their own, but they interlock together to form a shield wall. And they're slow moving, so they're already moving out kind of in a direction where he's anticipating an attack. But without the more specific information, it may be put in the wrong area. He may be defending it's the wrong thing, but he's also moving a lot of his forces that direction as well. So try to head off from that direction.
Okay. I guess I'll share whatever pertinent information I can and be like, Master, I sought this out with the help of Gasp from the library. It seems to have granted me some insight on the goblins and potentially this goblin threat. Your worry was where to build the wall. From what I've seen, it seems it's likely that they would choose to rush in large numbers across the flatland. I know there's within the mountains now, and looking here at this newer map, it seems likely that they would come through the plains here between the coast and the mountains. I know some of them may be able to harness energies and spells, but for the most part, it seems they would likely stick to this. So, a water assault is not likely in this case.
Okay.
My greater concern, though, Master, is I worry that these goblins seem to follow the command or the control of the entity behind the red eyes in the sky. In my time here, I know I haven't asked this of you, but my previous master, he was your brother, wasn't he?
Yes. Yes, he
Mishra.
is. Yeah. Yes.
I fear he may be behind this, though I understand you may already understand this. I have reason to believe from the information I found that these goblins may be under his command.
Really? What leads you to that?
When I see this and I hold up the scroll capsule, I am almost within the mind of and see the memories of the members of these tribes, and it seems many of them are almost worshipping. They have an affinity to the energies coming from the mountains, but this red energy coming from these eyes. They almost worship it as a god. When I see it, I'm a bit unsettled, and I almost feel this burning here in my core. I worry that my previous master might be pulling strings.
Interesting. Well, I may have to send some the spy network in that direction as well then. I would not worry overmuch about the eyes. They do control fate. And he looks up, and you see right above you are a different set of eyes. The eyes that you remembered seeing earlier that were white and black and blue, kind of in that flickering coloring, they are above the city. And you still see the red and black ones across. They're smaller, but they're over the mountains right now.
I will do my best, Master. I'm not sure what is to come, but we will be as prepared as we can be.
So I, in part, as promised, have built some things to assist you. He twists his hand, and you can see a small group of gnomish-like creatures that are constructs just like yourself, pulling a cart. And in the back of the cart are 3 packs that have fairly large bat wings, bat-style wings. They're all fully constructed. He said these will help get you out there, but they don't provide a lot of light. Really, though, there's just enough light to get you where you need to go. I'm afraid that the path back will be a slow one. But there's also this, and he hands you it's a cube that has a puzzle-like design on the outside of it, and you can hear from within it clicking and moving parts within it. He says this will allow you to communicate with our people here to let them know what you're seeing and what you think, so that we can do the best we can. In the meantime, I've already put in the order to move the wall to the plainlands to hopefully help slow their ingress. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, all of you, and your research, Silas, and I hope that you will have the best success possible.
Thank you, Master.
Master here.
And he hands Urza a book.
He'll take the book.
Don't forget your copy of your master's journal this time.
Thank you.
And then Urza puts on his sunglasses, walks out coolly.
Yes. So you will essentially have flight for the turn to get yourself out there, and you kind of get your weapons together, get your stuff together. Your Thopter friend already has flight, so it doesn't need to really worry about that. But it's an interesting feeling as you're all installing these pieces on each other's backs.
With Gasp, does he get a bigger set of wings alongside his wings? So he'll actually fly?
Yeah, he still has his smaller fairy wings, but these are like overlapping them, like he's got a dragonfly wings. He's got the big bat wings, and then he has the fairy wings underneath them.
I can finally fly. I can fly. I can fly. I can fly.
So you all take off, and you can see the city shrink behind you as you kind of make your way out over the lake and up, so that you're not seen by what might be ahead. You're about half a mile out when you start to see a difference in the mountain range. So the mountain itself are snow covered mostly, rocks pointed out in rough areas around the mountains, but you see large areas that are covered by goblin encampments. Maybe 10,000 goblins, and all of the accoutrement they're in. So all of the little pieces of lore that they've brought with them, animals and war vehicles. There's like a bus down there with sharp, pointy things all over it. Lots and lots and lots. And you make your way around to a mountain overlook that is about 200 feet above them. And your backpacks, your winged backpacks, give out just as you set down. So you unharness them and free yourselves of the extra weight, and you're looking down above the goblin encampment. I'm assuming you still have it installed,
Mm-hmm.
so that you have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you guys doing?
So I didn't really get a chance to ask this before, but what is my specialization? Or did you pick for me?
I didn't pick for you.
Okay. Then I'm going to be a scout.
Okay.
And I will start scouting to see what I can find in the area.
So you are about 200 feet above the... Well, I'll have to get that later. You're about 200 feet above the encampment, and as you're kind of looking out and peering down below you, you can see that you are you guys are settled above what is probably like the main host of the goblin encampment. There are some fairly important looking goblins beneath you, as well as a large number of smaller goblins and smaller tents. But the larger host is down the mountain a little bit more. Other than that, you don't see much immediately right here.
Okay, I will.
Can I fly down and go check out the other encampment?
Sure. Give me a d20 plus 5 for your stealth check.
I got 17.
Okay. You kind of put your wings into whisper mode, and head down, kind of closer to the other goblin encampment, and you see that it is a very large host. What you guys saw from far away was not wrong. You're thinking probably somewhere around 10,000 goblins. This must have been several commanders coming together to make this goblin swarm. It's mostly goblins, though. You don't see like hobgoblins and bugbears and those types here. It's mostly goblins. There are a couple trolls and a bunch of like goblin riding dogs, but for the most part, you see true-blooded goblins just
Hmm.
preparing for war and doing silly goblin stuff.
All right,
So-
I'm gonna report back. I'll let them know.
Give me a perception check really quick, and that's going to be a +6. Because
Me?
because you are part of the goblins, the Thopter Spy Network.
+6, you said?
Yep.
That would be a 15 plus 6, so 21.
So what you also see is that these goblins, while amassing in large number, do not look like they're ready for battle. Few of them have weapons. They are collecting here on the edge of the mountains, but you don't see any vehicles of actual. You don't see any catapults. You don't see any siege weapons that goblins would normally have. You don't see any of that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna let the squad know that they're not quite ready yet. So I'll fly back up, stealth mode activate, and let Silas know, hey, that from what I can tell, they aren't ready for battle yet.
I see.
Is this number what we expected, or is it larger?
It's larger than what you expected, but their readiness for war is a lot less than what you expected.
Perhaps we should send.
We should send this information back to Urza.
I'll attempt to utilize the cube that Urza gave me for communication, and I guess I need to make sure I know how to use that as well.
I'm assuming that you were taught.
I figure, but
Yeah.
however
You-
that works.
You press buttons in a very specific order, and you hear, crystal clear, as if you were in the same room, screaming. And somebody says, oh God, yes, yes?
Master, is that you? We're reporting in.
No, this is Acolyte Redsby. I was told to answer this if it started going off. There's an attack here.
We're in the mountains scouting the goblins. We were reporting in.
The goblins?
We
No, that was all a facade. We're being attacked. Oh, so much death.
We'll return quickly. We're on our way. It may take some time, but we'll return with haste. And I'll confer with everyone. Could they hear that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
As you guys look back towards the large city, there are huge smoking pillars, like pillars of smoke, and it's a lot of ash right now in that area. Like there's a lot burning, and you see huge airships. These airships that have these huge hangars that are depositing these large flyers, flying and bombing the city.
Do I recognize any of the technology that's being used?
As a
from
matter
the
of fact, just behind the huge columns of smoke, you see these gigantic golems that are making their way to the city.
Would you say we just entered the battlefield?
We're a long ways off.
You're about 2 miles off.
Okay. I need to know when I can set off my enter the battlefield trigger.
Noted.
Got your panharmonicon ready?
I'm thinking jeering homunculus and just like lure someone and just goad somebody into attacking us off on their own.
Yes.
You start to make your way back with haste, but carefully so you don't alert the entire goblin forces that are encamped here. And you make your way down. In the distance, you can see that the walls are trying to make their way back to the city, but they move so incredibly slow that that's not happening. You don't. The strange part is, you can occasionally hear explosions, like fireworks, but very quiet in the distance. But other than that, you hear nothing. It's almost like it's not happening, because once you get down into past the mountains into the areas of the plains, you're still so far off that that sound just isn't carrying. And by the time you make it back into that range, you can see that the majority of the city has been destroyed. There are roving groups of soldiers, mostly constructs, that are policing the outer edges, though. And when you get within probably 100 yards, you will hunker down and see a smallish group that's walking by. All of them have a symbol that is familiar to you, especially Silas, but it's familiar to all of you. And you see Mishra's symbol emblazoned on their shoulder.
Did they spot us yet?
They have not.
Everyone, take cover if you can. And I'll try to like go to some nearby cover before we're spotted.
Okay. You managed to get the whole group behind some large rocks on in between where the soldiers are and where you guys are. I would say you have entered the battlefield.
Do we know of a rogue's passage by chance?
There's an access tunnel over here.
Should we just take something out right now? Try and move into the city? What are we trying to do?
The patrol here is in control of Mishra. I know there's not a lot of time, but I feel we should get further into the town before we start or get stuck in a conflict out here. I need to make sure we need to assess what's going on. We need to try to get to the workshop or something. Is there any way, do you think we can get past this patrol and make it through the wall?
I'll lure them away. And I'll start running off and goading them into a different direction.
Give me a d20 plus 8.
Got 20?
Nice. Okay, so describe what you're doing.
So I sneak out a little bit, and then I start walking, trip in full view of them, and do that like, my knee, just like screaming in pain, being very loud about it.
Okay.
And then when they start to notice me, I take off running.
Yeah, they definitely notice you as you start to scream, and a couple of them look at you and they're like, "Where the heck did this thing just come from?" And then when you start taking off, they run after you. All of them start going after you, as if you were an escaped artifact creature, which you are. And you can hear the pings and stuff of like shots being fired at you, but missing you as you're running off.
But I'm pretty beefy. I'm a 0-4. I think we can take the hits.
Okay, what about the rest of you?
Can I fly ahead stealth mode?
Sure.
See if I can find the workshop. See if it's still, not crumpled.
As you fly kind of up quietly and you breach that outer wall, it's a lot of destruction, and the lab that you guys were calling home was part of that destruction down by the wharf. You can see dark smoke coming up from almost all of the larger buildings, and then there are areas where it looks like something heavy was dropped on areas of clustered buildings. from a lot of these craters, you can see construct creatures unfolding themselves to be much larger creatures.
Oh,
And as they stand, they seem to pull other artifacts and artifact creatures, friends or foe, into them as they stand. As if their power and toughness were equal to the number of artifacts around them.
Harnstrucks. Oh no.
There's. You said it was part of the destruction, right? So is there any telling if like Urza made it out?
So, it depends where Urza was when this attack took place.
Mm-hmm.
You know that he has a lot of hidey holes, spider holes throughout the city, and he's survived worse than this.
He's just in his new cave, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
In a small zone meant specifically for commanders.
by all these constructs, are there any remnants of the power station still working?
So as you guys make your way up and you're kind of peeking in and peeking around, it looks like the you're talking about the power plant?
Yes.
The power plant looks like a cracked egg. So it has areas that are dented in, and a lot of smoke is coming from those cracked dents, but you don't see, other than the smoke that's billowing out, you don't see any heavy damage. Like, it hasn't been destroyed yet.
Okay.
And you guys can all feel where you had to be right, kind of close to it to feel that energy coming off of it. You can feel it even here at the edges of the city.
I'll create a diversion.
And I'm going to stealthily try and make my way as close to the power plant as possible.
Okay, give me a d20 plus 6.
Come on, big money. Wow, this shouldn't be that hard. Hold on. Sorry.
All good.
It's landing on all of his magic cards, so it keeps ending up cocked.
No, I can't find my giant D20. It's the first thing I've had to roll all night, and I just realized it's not here.
It's a pretty large thing to lose. I'm just kidding.
I know.
It really is.
It really is. That's why I'm like, where is it? And by the way, I found those dice, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Good.
So it was good. I didn't have to buy another set. Okay. A D20 plus what?
6.
18 plus 6, 24.
Man, you guys get crazy good modifiers over here. Plus 8, plus 6, like
We cracked.
Yeah, but they're only good at one thing.
they're really good at it though. I'm proud of them.
Ask me to attack, not happening.
You're really good at spying.
He's a
Yep.
He's a 0-1 doctor.
Yep. I ain't got a lot going on.
So you make your way past. You've had to stop a couple times, but you make your way to the power plant.
Okay. I'm going to, if I can find any working controls, I'm going to try to zero in on the frequency of Mishra's constructs. And then I'm going to use myself to overload like a vandal and blast all of these.
Nice. So
Let's go.
give me a d20 plus 4.
17.
You are able to bead in on the frequency that all of Mishra's, because you know he mostly hive minds his constructs, and you find that frequency and you're starting to dial in the power to that frequency.
And then I will attempt to figure out a way to use myself as a conduit and overload all of them
As you
so it doesn't affect our artifacts.
as you plug yourself into the machine, grabbing hold of the right pieces, you can feel the energy, that just a massive power rushing through you at a very specific resonant frequency. And you can hear things starting to go wrong outside in the city. Things dropping, things exploding, things burning out, and that energy flowing through you. You know this is your last stand, and
And
it's
I'm going to flap my wings
yep.
as hard as I possibly can and try to fly.
As you're so try to fly while you're plugged in.
Mhm.
So you're pulling these wires. Give me a strength check at -1.
7.
You're pulling at these wires, flapping, and you actually start to get height, but the wires are still heavy wires that you're holding on to, and you start to fly up, and you can feel yourself actually getting height as you're flying. And as this energy is burning out the constructs outside, and it's burning out the constructs in you, one last thought in your head is that Silas is a Mishra construct. And you go to Silas, who
Oh,
you start feeling energy running through you, bad energy, and that pipe that was clamped off bursts. And you can feel all of this energy rush into you, and this case in your chest is rattling and shaking. It wants to expel what's in it, and you can feel it pounding against the inside of your case. And it's like a crystal clear moment. The glass in front of your chest plate, where light would emit, where your soul could be viewed, shatters. And the scroll case with that knowledge flies out and collapses to the ground, and you can feel your vision to a pinpoint and then snuff out. Sometime later, we don't know how long, you wake up. You feel energy being pulled back into you from somewhere. Knowledge being pulled back into you from somewhere. Rage being pulled back into you from somewhere. Kindness being pulled back into you from somewhere. And as you come into being, it's not a slow, groggy wake up. You go from being empty to being full. And you sit up with a start which shocks the people around you. It looks like something has been welded over your chest. And the scavengers, the someones who were right over you, are running away at top speed. They were not expecting you to sit up or sit up that quickly, it appears. You are in a grove. There are old trees around you. As you leaned up, vines and grass and soil kind of pulled up with you because it had grown into your plating, into your joints, into the leather-bound muscles of your arms, and you kind of pulled away from that greenery and that soil as you sat up. You can feel the age on you, the creak in your hinges, but the filigree is still there. It still shines. Maybe not as bright as the day that Urza woke you up so long ago, but it still shines. You're not sure what's happened. Give me a perception check.
all right.
So that's perception. It's 5. Ooh, nat 20 plus 5, 25.
Wow. You look around and you're in a forest, but your vision for a second has this strange energy floating around it. And it's like you overlay some of the images from walking around Urza City for the months that you did. The images overlay with the ruins you now see. And you're in the same place. Probably the same place you fell. But time has happened. Lots of it. Because you rolled a natural 20, it was going to take a little bit longer, but a little bit away from you, half sticking out of a tree trunk, about 4 feet up, is the body of a thopter, a small thopter, that looks like maybe a brass oil lamp with dragonfly wings, though heavily damaged.
I take a moment and recognize the VB and mourn in that moment as I'm kind of taking all this in.
You hear, drifting on the wind, music. Human music. And however long it's been, the music is very similar to the music that you heard that long time ago. It's coming from somewhere in the ruins, and while, again, not perfect and not ideal, it gives you a warm feeling that something had to have survived. That even though war can be dangerous and disastrous and bloody, something can survive.
I will go towards it. Yeah, being cautious of what's around me and just carefully tread.
So, picture
How-
if you will,
Good.
picture if you will, a once ancient city made of sandstone and marble that went through a huge disaster and leveled much of its great works. And then for the centuries that followed, people rebuilt and adapted and added to. The center of town, which is centered around the ruins of a very tall tower, which has been mostly rebuilt, is town proper. And areas of the ruins don't even look like ruins anymore. In a circle around that tower. Past that are pretty much the ruins that you found, that you woke yourself up in. It's a heavily forested area. But here, in the center, in this town around the tower, are humans and constructs and artifact creatures and goblins, all living together peacefully. At least for now. Because as you look up into the sky, you see a pair of eyes. White, red, black, all flickering back and forth.
How is that music coming from town?
It's coming from a small outside tavern, very similar to the one that you heard the music playing at before, but obviously not the same tavern. With humans that are enjoying life and drinking some kind of heavily brewed heavily alcohol content you can smell from here.
Mhm.
And singing badly.
Um, I'll. It's all humans that I see inside. Like if I head inside,
Oh,
is it
so
humans I see somewhere?
so making up this city are humans, goblins, and artifacts and artifact creatures. All
There are still. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So. I will head towards the music and go inside. Go inside the tavern, I guess, and see if I can
You,
talk to the tavern keep.
you make your way in, and you can see that the majority of the tavern part of the tavern is outside. It's in open air. But there is a small building with the owner where he keeps a handful of modest rooms and cooks food inside and out. And he nods as you walk up and says, um, "You've got some dirt on you." And you can see that as you're walking, some of the dirt and grass and plants that have collected in your frame have been slowly falling out the more you move. You've got a kind of trail from where you were to where you are.
I'll kind of look down. I'll look back up and I apologize. I can clean it up. Um,
Oh, it's no worries. The rain will take most of that, and it looks like that'll happen pretty soon. How can I help you? And you can tell that the gap he's leaving in conversation is for you to tell him your name.
Silas.
Ah, yes, Silas. How do you fare on this day?
Um, I might ask, what day is it?
Well, it's the 5th of Jan. It's year of our Lord, of course.
What is this place? What is this town? What
Um,
is it?
well, um, we don't really have a name. Many of us moved here or migrated to here. It's a safe place. It's a safe place. We're looked after by the old wizard. And he kind of puts a thumb up at the tower.
Um, the wizard. What is his name?
Oh, he doesn't really have a name. He's just been up there this whole time, protecting us and whatnot.
I see. Thank you, and once again, I apologize for the mess. And
He
I'm
chuckles to himself.
gonna turn and go and head towards the tower.
As you start heading to the tower, you find your steps are slowing. It's not really something that you found you can control. And then you realize it's not your steps. Birds and animals and a dog up the street that was crossing the road also start to slow. Your mind isn't slowing, but everything around you. A small hand, a human hand, takes yours. And as you turn your head, you see that there's a small blonde human boy with blue eyes. He says, "You're a tricky one. You were supposed to come back here."
I'm sorry. I want. I might see my master. Is he here? Do you know? Do you know of the wizard? I want to see him.
I know the wizard that you're looking for, and this one isn't it. I promise. Urza will be back. He always comes back, but the wizard in that tower is not the one you're looking for.
My shoulders will kind of sink. I see. Might I ask, then, who are you?
There's gonna be plenty of time for that. I normally don't ask, but you're in a unique position. You were supposed to go someplace else, and you didn't. And I need to take you there now, if that's okay.
I suppose there isn't much left for me here. I wanted to protect my friends, but I'm not sure that that's possible anymore. So I will go with you.
Well, good, because the other option was not as nice. And as time speeds up and you both take a step, you shift between the world you're in and a place of utter stillness. There is red rock beneath you, small Joshua trees in the landscape. You can see that there's a gorge ahead, a very large gorge in the stone, almost like the Grand Canyon. It is neither day nor night. Looking up, you can see stars, but it's not quite at that point where you could say it's full night. And you don't really smell anything. You don't really feel anything. The temperature is about even. And he says, there. I tell you, finding you, it was like an itch. I just couldn't scratch.
You were looking for me.
Yeah, you're needed for something. And I can't really get into it. It's not really my area. But, you're important. And what you're going to do is important. And yeah. You'll get you'll get that opportunity to, how would you put it, accomplish your directive. You'll get that opportunity again.
I see. And if it cannot be granted now, then until then I shall wait.
Finally, someone who doesn't mind the wait. Just give it some time.
It seems I've given a lot already, but what is a bit more?
Do you know how to like do repairs?
Out of character. I'm not sure. Do I? Did I
So
learn?
we should have part of building your characters. We were supposed to pick. I think your background. We're supposed to pick a tool set that you have proficiency with, and we might as well put like a repair tool set
That would make sense. I had put, actually, before the session, I had put cartographer's tools for map making because I was going to
Okay.
be like Ranger Scout going on, but it can make more sense to be repair tools if I need them for my
Cartographer,
self modifications.
cartographer works. Whichever you want.
I would rather, if it makes sense, because I want to be able to do my own modifications. So if that needs to be what I pick, I'll pick that. You know,
Okay.
because I definitely wanted to be able to do that.
It would make
One
you
way or
more.
another.
It would make you more proficient with doing that.
Let's
Yes.
do that. That
Okay.
that makes sense. So like a repair kit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Under proficiencies.
Okay, I'll put in tools and then. Yeah, I have it under proficiencies with my tools, with
Sweet.
my gaming set.
Sweet, sweet,
Cool.
sweet.
Okay, thank you.
So then your answer would be
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I can.
good.
What do you need of me?
And he points across like this small, maybe 10-foot space, because you were looking at him. When you look out across this 10, 15-foot space, you see assembled like an undone puzzle are pieces of a thopter, a small thopter. And as you look back at the child, he's gone.
I'll look back again at the thopter pieces. And do I recognize them?
Oh yeah. It looks like a small brass oil lamp with dragonfly wings, but laid out in parts.
I will carefully and delicately start to get to work.
Okay. And that's where we will halt tonight's session. Thank you guys very much for helping me tell this story. Thank you, Justin, for helping me and getting this story told. I appreciate you guys a bunch. This was kind of a departure because I was trying to add in as much MTG trivia, not really trivia, but notes and feeling as I could, because that's part of it.
That was absolutely incredible.
I picked up, was it Togo you referenced with the rocks?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Chicago and the power plant and the mine.
Right.
And, oh my god, there's so much. I love it.
But yeah.
Buy network.
Thank you guys. So let's hang out after Mark does his thing. And I'll go over some stuff and some bookkeeping, and then we'll be good. So go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We're going to raid out to Keep It Kawaii. Kiki is a great streamer, a good friend of the channel. We're going to send the love over that way. If you're not following her, make sure you give her a follow when you head over. She's currently playing the first Descendant. She plays lots of MMOs and things of that nature, so we're going to head over there right now. Let me keep. We'll hit the raid message and then we'll head that way. Thank you to everybody for playing tonight. Thank you all for watching and hanging out with us. And we will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, if not earlier, for more Once Human. Because, you know, it's what we're playing right now.
Addict.
Yep.
The addiction is real.
That level 50 grind.
Yep. So we're going to head over that way. Thanks again, everybody. Until next time, as always, be excellent to each other. And, of course, game on.
Game on.
Game on.
And now you got to kill it.